don't. Um, okay, so this is, and I have a document that I'll attach to this recording. Please remind me, Kristen, because you know I say things and then I forget. Um, okay, so time management is energy management, right? Y'all hear me say that all the time. And people are like, I just want to finish my dissertation very quickly. But if I like think about me when I was going through the program, it would feel like, and even now, some days if I'm not careful, it'll feel like I have like every Monday, I'm like, I'm gonna do the thing. Like so every Monday you might be like, I'm going to write. And then somehow you get to the following Monday and it just feels like all the time just slipped away. It's like, where did all my hours go? And you hear me say, well, you only need 10 hours to write your dissertation. And that sounds good. And you want to believe me because you got a lot going on. But it just feels like that's not enough time to do something as big as write a dissertation. And even on the like where the rare times that you do block off 3 to 4 hours, you sit down and by the time you get yourself together and organize, it is like those 3 to 4 hours that maybe you had blocked off just evaporates. And I want to tell you that the problem isn't the time, even though that's what most people will focus on. The problem really is that you don't have a strategy for how to use the time that you do have available effectively. And so, the purpose of today's conversation is I really want to convince everyone, persuade maybe is a better word, to stop thinking about the time, the like the physical time you have, and more about what is your energy like? Do I have energy to write? And I promise I'm going to bring these two things together. So I want to start by talking about myths that I hear often, that I've said myself, that I hear people tell me constantly. The first myth is if I have the time to write, then I will write. So people, this usually comes up. People will be like, you know, I just work is so busy, kids are so busy, life is so busy, caretaking is so busy. I just don't have the literal hours. And when we look at their calendar, when I look at their calendar, I'm like, oh, look at that. I found 10 hours. Great. And people would say to me, which I'll get to the second myth is like, well, that's not enough time. But first, I just want to talk about this idea of if I actually have time, then I'll write. So then I'll create a schedule for someone and they'll go off and they will ignore everything else I told them. And maybe a week or two go by and they'll come back and say, well, I do have the time, but I just don't know why I'm not doing what I know I should be doing. And I would say time isn't enough, right? Because in theory, you have all night, you have all morning, you have your weekends. And so we know the issue isn't the physical time in your schedule. There has to be something different. And if any time I step on your toes or this sounds familiar, please let me know in the chat. Um, but just having the like the time on the calendar. Many of you have time, but you end up spending that time scrolling or doing something else. Maybe a friend calls you, maybe something's going on with your family, and then that just evaporates. Or maybe you are sitting down to write and something like an email comes up, or maybe a conference or a journal proposal submission call comes up and your time just goes out the window. So it's not, we know that it's not just about time. So then that leads us to myth number two. So then people will say, okay, I can find 30 minutes here or 20 minutes here, but the way I'm set up, that's not going to work for me. I need a lot of time at once in order to start writing. So it sounds logical, right? To say, like, I need like 3 to 4 hours, or I need like a whole day, or I need a whole weekend where nobody's calling me. I got my phone on do not disturb. There's no kids running around. I cut off all my notifications, whatever, right? And you sit down and you start writing. This usually happens if you join a writing group or you join a writing retreat and you find that like an hour or 2 hours into it, you're rereading the same sentence over and over. You're scrolling your phone, right? You're staring out the window. You got laundry to do. All of a sudden, that that corner with all that stuff that you got piled up in there becomes really important. That you declutter and organize. Like everything becomes more important than the writing. So then this goes back to it's not that you need long stretches of uninterrupted time. Excuse me. It's more that you don't know what to do with the time. Like you don't know how to get yourself in a consistent groove. And I want to also add something to this of maybe you do get into some sort of writing momentum, right? And You told yourself you were only going to write 3 to 4 hours, but then that 4 hour mark comes and you're like, but I'm really in the zone and I know it takes me so long to get there. So then what was supposed to be a 4 hour writing session is now like a 10 hour writing session. It's 2 o'clock in the morning. You're tired. You got to get back up at 6 o'clock. And you notice that the next day and the day after, now you're burnt out and you can't go back to writing because you stayed up all night because you didn't trust that you would get back into the zone of things. Hey, Martha. Um, so going back to this thing of it's not that you need uninterrupted time. Maybe you need to get faster at getting yourself in the zone, or you need a process that will help you get into the momentum of writing. That is completely different than having hours. Don't make the mistake of thinking the reason why you got into the zone was because you had 4 hours of uninterrupted time. But instead, think about like what helped you to get into the zone, like what helped you to build the momentum. And I want to really tell you that the reason why you are not like it's taking you so long to get into the momentum, like this is like a side quest for a minute, is that you're spending more time thinking about is your writing good enough? Right? You might start writing a paragraph, like y'all know I love to say write a shitty paragraph, and you might do that, but then you may spend hours, 2 hours believing that your writing isn't good enough. How you know you're doing this is now you're constantly looking at the literature and trying to see, does this match what so and so said? Now you're looking at old dissertations trying to see, is this the same way people, maybe it's like frame their literature review. When you're doing things like that, that is a clear indicator that you don't believe that what you're doing is good enough to meet the expectations of your dissertation chair, your committee. But I want you to hear something in that you not thinking is good enough has nothing to do with the amount of time you're writing. You're wasting more time than you're actually writing. Okay, but that's a side quest and that's a bonus for somebody. Okay, the third thing that I hear, and this is not an exhaustive list by any means, but it's just some of the common things I hear. I need to feel motivated before I can write. So you might be like, okay, I don't need 4 hours. I do have the time. But what happens when I show up and I don't have the motivation to do it? And here's the hard truth. So take a deep breath. You don't have to feel like writing to write. Did you know that? Like, you don't have to feel confident. You don't have to feel motivated in order to put words on a page. And I really will hope for you that in all areas of your life that you'll get to a point that you don't have to feel like a thing to do the thing. Y'all know I love me some James Clear, the author of Atomic Habits. And the whole thesis of the book is you do not rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. Let me say that a different way is it doesn't matter if you have a goal like writing your proposal in 90 days. It matters about the habits and the routines that you follow that will like make it a no-brainer that you will get to a 90-day proposal. And that is a segue, by the way. If you haven't signed up for the From Coursework to Proposal workshop that's happening next Wednesday, what you doing? Why haven't you? If you're on Instagram right now, go ahead and comment workshop and I will send you the link. Everyone else, if you let me know in the chat, we will get that to you. Writing comes down to how much energy you have. You could write a whole 2 to 3 pages in 20 minutes if you have the energy. And the way I think about energy is it's not about just the physical energy that you have. It is also about the environment you're in. It is about, do you know what to do? Like, do you have a routine to follow so that it takes less time out of the mental energy you need? What the whole point of like Atomic Habits is you set up yourself, your daily routines, your environment to ensure that whatever goal you want to achieve, you can do that. So then you don't have to depend on things like motivation or willpower to get yourself through. You just show up and you follow the process. An example would be, I bet that when you are going to your favorite fast food restaurant, right, and you get in your car, you most likely don't have to put it in the GPS to figure out how to get there. You probably know exactly what street to get there, what street to turn on, how long it's going to take you to get to the location, how long it's going to take you to like get the food and whatnot and get back home. The same can be true for your writing. Because you most likely went to your favorite place so many times, you have a routine that you follow to get there. Are y'all following me? Like, I want you to have a routine when it comes to writing because you don't have to feel like it to do it. Another example I like to use is when you go to brush your teeth, you probably do the same series of steps that you always do. And you don't even have to consciously think about, getting your toothbrush and getting the toothpaste and putting the toothpaste in a toothbrush and brushing your teeth. Like, you don't even have to consciously think about it because you have a process and because you have done it so many times. What if writing was the same way? If you spend any time around people who write, like, think about, like, especially people who are going after tenure or people whose career it is to write consistently every day, every week. If you were to watch them, you would see that they follow the same steps in the same order every single time. Why? Because they know that the less decisions they have to make about how to get themselves started and how to get to a full draft, the more energy they're going to have. The less decisions I have to make, the more energy I'm going to have. What helps you to make less decisions is figuring that out ahead of time. Another way is having a routine. You're like, I follow the exact same steps. I don't even have to think about it. But you most likely are treating your writing so precious. Like, your writing time is like, oh, it's such a big deal because it's a dissertation and I got to really sit with it. And I got to really, read over all of these articles and I got to go back and forth over this one sentence instead of treating it like a process that it is. So the process that we follow inside of Finish Your Dissertation, which I want to remind y'all, because right now I am streaming live on YouTube and Instagram, but this is also our Finish Your Dissertation call. And so I want to reiterate the systems or the routines that we follow inside of this institute to remind you why they're here and why they work. So the first thing that I ask you all to do is to follow a 10-hour weekly schedule. I ask you to block off 10 hours every week or less, 10 hours or less every week that you will dedicate to your dissertation time. Why? Because most of you got too much going on in your life. You got a full life, a full week, a full day. You got so many things happening that 10 hours is actually realistic. And most of you don't have a full 10 hours. If you're truly honest about the number of things you said yes to, the number of things you keep raising your hand to volunteer for, even being in everybody else's business and trying to people please and be the go-to person, even though you complain about it all the time. Like, why everybody want to come to me for everything? Nobody knows what they're doing because you keep saying yes. Okay, but that is also a side quest. Let me get back on track. You don't have endless hours in your week. So when you set aside 10 hours, you tell your brain, hey, brain, we only have 10 hours, so we got to make these 10 hours count. It makes me think about Parkinson's law. If you want to look that up, go ahead. But essentially, Parkinson's law says things expand in the container we put them in. So if you say it's going to take you 30 hours to write your theoretical framework, it's going to take you 30 hours. But if you said, I got 10 hours and that's it, guess what? It's going to take you 10 hours. We often think time is happening to us, like, oh, it just takes so long because that's what everybody says. But instead, if you just said, no, I got 10 hours and that's what I got. I want you to go back to you being in an undergrad program. Think about when you was 19, 20, 21 and you went out and you stayed out too late, or you forgot about a paper that was due. And now it's 10 o'clock and that paper is due at 11:59. Did you not turn in a paper by 11:59? Now, it might not have been the best paper ever, right? You like, I'm going to just take the L on the grade, but you had something to turn in. It didn't take you weeks. It took you 2 hours because you only had 2 hours. I'm asking you to bring that same energy into your schedule. When you make a decision and you decide, I have 10 hours, so that's what I'm going to do. I got 10 hours. That's the first part. The second thing we do is we write in 2-hour blocks. So this evening we have our Write With Us session. It's 2 hours. Every time we have a writing session, besides the 10 pages in 2 days writing retreat, it's 2 hours. That is by design. Why? Because I just said you got a lot going on. And it's easier to find 2 hours in your day than it is to find 6, 8, 10 hours, right? You can even find 2 hours over the weekend and still, like, you can get up in the morning, say you work from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. You still got your whole Saturday or your whole Sunday. It's easier to get your brain and that procrastination voice that's in your head. It's easier to get that part of you to show up for 2 hours than it is to say, oh, I got to spend all day in this study room trying to write. When you teach yourself how to write in smaller blocks, your brain loves to be efficient. So it's going to get faster at what it can do in 2 hours. I'm just going to tell you, if you're yelling at me and you're at your screen, if you're saying 2 hours is not enough, it's just that you haven't trained yourself for 2 hours to be enough. And then the third thing that we do is we make a plan every week. So every Monday, right, I ask you to make a weekly plan. You come to the call, and during that planning, you are asked to identify what are 3 tasks that you are committing to accomplishing this week. And these 3 tasks need to be completed within those 10 hours. The reason why the time limit is there in this 3 tasks is because it forces you to think smaller. It forces you to stop thinking about, well, I have to write this whole chapter. And instead, it says, I'm going to write this one section. This does a few things. One, it helps you really to work smarter and not harder, because you're not trying to keep all this in your brain of like, I got to write this whole chapter. Instead, you say, I'm going to write my theoretical framework. So how long is a theoretical framework? Maybe 1 or 2 pages. Okay, that sounds more doable. Like, yeah, I could write 2 pages. That's not too hard. But if you're telling yourself, I need to write my whole literature review, but now we're talking about a 30, 40 page chapter that feels daunting in a week's time. But when you say, I just got to write this theoretical framework, that becomes easier. And then you can break that up into 3 tasks, right? I know I'm going to use these 2 theories. I'm going to go find 3 articles for each. I'll read them. I'll write a shitty draft and I'll edit it, right? That sounds more doable. Do y'all hear a theme here? So when you say, these are the 3 tasks I'm going to do in my 10 hours, your brain immediately goes to work and says, how do we get this done? There are more things that we do, but for the sake of today's conversation, I just want you to think about those 3 things: 10 hours a week, 2-hour writing blocks, and deciding 3 tasks that you're going to complete for the week. It sounds simple. It sounds too good to be true. But if you were actually trying it, this is how people are writing proposals in 90 days. And you might be like, that couldn't be me. And I'm going to say, please try it. All right. What questions or thoughts? I have some questions if you don't have questions, but what questions y'all have? Okay. Talk that talk, doc, because I need the energy. I feel like quitting and I can't because of money I spent already on this dang doctorate. I don't know if you ever heard of, and I don't fly blue by. I don't know if you're still here, but have you ever heard of what is it called? Like sunk cost fallacy? Look this up if you haven't. But essentially, as humans, we are wired to believe that if we have invested time and energy or other resources into a thing, that we need to just see it through to the end, because we don't want to waste what we've already put in. But what we don't realize is it's already spent. So you've already spent the time. You've already spent the money. You can't get it back. And just because you've done it already doesn't mean you need to keep going. Now, this is not me trying to convince you to quit. I'm just trying to give you a different perspective. Right? Like, what's that proverb of like, you're going down the wrong road. It doesn't make sense to keep going the wrong way. And no matter how far you are down that road, it is always better to turn around and go back the right way, because it's the right way. So I really want you to think about, and anyone else who is resonating with this, I really want you to think about, what would happen if you decided you don't want to do this? Like, what would happen if you intentionally made a decision and said, you know what, I'm going to end this doctoral experience. Like, I'm not going to finish. I'm going to decide that on purpose. Now, before, like, breathe through the shock of my question, but then I really want you to step back. And then in 10 years from now, when you look back at this, how are you going to feel about your decision to not finish? Think about this from 30, 40 years from now. How are you going to feel about your decision to finish? What are the sort of things that are going to come up? Is it going to be because of what everyone else is going to say? Like, what everyone else is going to think? Like, you could have did it. You were so close. All you had to do was, is it more that? Or Is there something like an opportunity that you're looking forward to that this degree will help you to achieve? Because if it's more about what other people are going to say, then let's solve for that. Because if you don't really, and I don't mean this of like, I'm trying to challenge you, if you don't really want it, it's okay to change your mind, right? There could have been a part of you that wanted it before when you first enrolled in the program. That part of you wanted it, but that part didn't know what was all included in becoming a doctor, right? That part of you might have had like rose colored glasses on and thought that this degree meant something completely different than what it actually means in real life. Versus if this is more about you have a tangible more of a tangible reason why you want it. And listen, I'm not judging the tangible reason. Sometimes our tangible reason is because I just want everybody to call me doctor. I love it. Sometimes is there's a certain person in your brain that you're like, because I want them to have to eat their words. I love it. Sometimes the reason is there's a job or a promotion I'm looking for. Sometimes it's because I want to be, faculty somewhere. I'm just asking you to really sit down and ask yourself, why did you enroll in this program and why do you want to continue? Because most of the time, those are not the same things. But we might be holding on to the old reasons why we enrolled in a thing instead of thinking about, but why am I still here? So that's the first thing I want to offer to you. Two, my second thing I want to offer to you is what would it look like to do the shittiest draft of the dissertation? Like the most like simple, easy, like hit the easy button is what I say. What does that look like? I'll give an example because I don't know much about your dissertation, right? Sometimes people will come in and they'll say like, I'm going to do mixed methods, or maybe it's qualitative. I'm going to do a qualitative. I'm going to do interviews. I'm going to do focus groups. I'm going to do reflection. Then I'm going to do this like creative activity. And then they get in the middle of it and they're like, I don't have the energy for this. The easy button may be, you know what? I'm going to do these 10 interviews and call it a day. Yes, I am. I'm going to write it up and move on. I often find that when people are like, I just want to get done, but I don't have enough energy, it's because you're trying to do too much. You're competing with, I want to get done as quick as possible, but I also want it to be the best, and the most original idea that anybody has ever seen. You're going to have to choose one. You have to choose which one is going to be your priority. Okay. If you're like, nope, it's still simple, I got this, that's not the thing. Then the third thing I usually find is that people are trying to do this alone. And it is challenging to do something as big as write a dissertation by yourself. And you might be joining writing groups or you might be talking to people from your program, but you leave them feeling more like shit because all they are doing is telling you how they got this grant and how they got this publication and how they're doing XYZ. And that makes you compare and it makes you feel like, what am I doing? I'm just lazy. What if none of that is true? They most of the time they're lying, but that's a whole nother thing. And if they're not lying, they have way more help than you, but you don't realize that. You need to find a community that helps you feel calm, who inspire you to show up. Right. Because I love being around people who inspire me to like, let me step up my game. But that's coming from a place of inspiration versus a place of I don't measure up or I'm not good enough. So fly blue by. Let me know if any of that is helpful. And if you have anything that you want to add to that. Okay. What about everybody else? How are we doing? Hey, Eduarda. Okay. Kristen, Martha, anything related? Y'all, anything sticking out to you? It's okay if it's not, it feels like one of those weeks. We have as a side astrology note, we have a new moon Friday, Saturday, depending on where you're living. It's a new moon in Virgo. We got two new moons in Virgo. What does this have to do with your dissertation? You might feel this urge to be like, I need to get my shit together right now. You might feel like lately I've been feeling this urge to clean my apartment and that never really happens. So that's how I knew something was going on. Like you may feel like I need to get organized. So you might be getting planners and you may have renewed energy around your dissertation process. But here's the thing about Virgo energy. You can get stuck in the details of a thing. You can get so stuck in the nuances of your planning and your, trying to make the perfect scheduling that you overwhelm yourself. So I just want you to Take the planning energy of a Virgo, but don't get too deep. You say you want the fall decor of it all. Yes, I bought me some pumpkin soap and I was like, listen, pumpkin season is kicking off. Okay. All right. Any questions, y'all? How we doing? Okay. My why is because of me becoming an expert in an area that I'm already gifted in. But why is it important for you to be an expert? Like, who are you going to help the most by being an expert? I want you to think about a group of people, maybe a conference. Like, I need you to dream with me a little bit. Where do you want to be an expert? Like, and what is it going to be like when, like, say somebody walks up to you and they're like, "You're an expert." What is that going to mean? What is that going to do for you? My dissertation is qualitative, the importance of incorporating emotional intelligence into the leadership experience. Okay, so I don't know, say you're at whatever your field is, you're in a leadership conference, and like the person who is considered the top leader of the conference, they come to you and they say, "Thank you so much for the work that you do. Like, you inspired me to be a better leader." What is that going to do for you? So I coach in leadership already in corporate spaces. So let's say the CEO, no, let's say the COO comes to you, right? Because I feel like the operations person giving you a compliment is always a win. So the operations person comes to you and they're like, "Thank you so much for the work that you do. You inspire me." What is that going to do for you? Like, go a little bit further. And the second question, I know I'm bombarding you with questions, but trying to help as many people as possible. The second question is, if you're already consulting and you're already doing leadership, coaching, and teaching inside of corporate spaces, why do you need this degree? What more is it going to do for you? Are you not already an expert in what you're gifted in? Why do you need this degree? Many of you emotionally are realizing that you're already doing the thing you thought that the doctoral degree was going to help you to do. You're already doing it. So why do you need it? Is it going to help you to get bigger corporate clients? Is it going to help you to get certain corporate clients that you don't have access to because you don't have the title or you don't have the letters? Let me know. Avanti Writings, I don't know if you are talking to me, but if you are, what is my research on? So I do a lot, or I did because I'm not actively researching, but I do a lot around identity development, um, women's identity development. And this is why I would argue I'm so good at what I do. So essentially, how do you answer the question, who am I? And that question, the answer to that question changes throughout your life and throughout different developmental periods. So I help people answer that question for themselves because when you have an answer to the question of who am I, and you feel good about that answer, you could do anything. Like you could do the impossible. Okay, I'm learning so much more than I knew before and gaining practice methods that I was unaware of. Yeah, so you learned it, right? Like you did the courses. What is the dissertation going to do that's going to help further your learning? Now, if this is about strategy, you might be like, so part of me was like, I'm going to do this dissertation. I'm going to turn it into a book, or I'm going to use it as a framework for my business. Okay, let's talk about that strategy. But right now, your nervous system knows that you're already doing the work. So it doesn't understand why you want it to do more work. Right? Our nervous system, the oldest part of us, the part that's responsible for our survival, has three jobs. Like its main goal is to survive, and it does that in three ways. It avoids pain, right? It loves anything that is fun, and it wants to do the thing that's the easiest to do. Anything outside of that is like no, and it will stop you. So right now on the table is you are in this program, you are in this doctoral program, and you've done your coursework. You learned the theories, you learned the different strategies, you've met the big people in the fields, and now your nervous system is like, so why are we going to do a dissertation? Because I'm tired. Okay, I do not want to write that. That's going to be hard. It's going to take too much time, and it don't even seem fun. Writing don't seem fun. Reading this stuff don't seem fun. I don't want to do it. And so your nervous system is like, hello, give me a reason. Now, if your reason is like, because I want to work for XYZ, or I want to, get XYZ company as a client, okay, that's a different reason. That there's something at the end of that. But just to say I'm going to get to graduation, because you've been there, done that. It's not your first degree. So your nervous system is like, what? There's no novelty in this. I don't get it. Why are we doing this? I'm only on chapter 1 and chapter 2. I love my courses, but the dissertation works my reserved nerve. Yeah, because it's like, why are we doing this? What's the point? You are already doing what you're gifted at. You're already an expert. Everybody on here, everybody's an expert. You don't make it this far if you're not an expert. So we need something else. And it's more than likely you need to see yourself as an expert. Do you believe? Does everyone put a 1 if you believe you are already an expert? Let me know. Put a 1 if you already believe you are an expert. I'm patiently waiting for autumn equinox. I don't know why, friend. Okay, because listen, you think you are. Okay, and this is happening on your moon sign. Okay, I don't know. Something's coming in store. We have eclipses coming, and I don't know. Maybe it is going to be exciting for you. I don't want to get your yum. Don't mind me. I do plan on going into education in about 7 more years. Okay, but like your nervous system is like, but that's 7 years. Why are we doing this now? Is it more money? Is it like we need something tangible? For me, it was this right here. What I'm doing with you, I kept saying when I'm done, I'm gonna have qual scholars. Like it wasn't called qual scholars at the time, but I was like, I'm gonna have a business. It's gonna be fun, and I'm gonna help other people avoid the frustrations I had to go through. And so that will get me going when I didn't feel like writing. In fact, when I was sitting down to write, I would reward myself with business videos because it kept it top of mind for me. I have some hair somewhere and it's like bothering me. Okay. It kept it top of mind for me. I would work for 45 minutes and then watch a 15-minute Gary Vee video. If you don't know who he is, he's just a famous marketer. But that's what kept me going because I did not want to do my dissertation. I didn't have my issue wasn't that I didn't know what to write. My issue was like I don't want to. I don't feel like it. And so having the combination of making it fun by incorporating business learning in that, and then two, my chair giving me an aggressive timeline of 2 months was like, oh, this is a game. This is a game. How fast can I do this and still enjoy doing it? Listen, the Mercury retrograde almost took me out too. Okay. And I'm still not over it. I'm still okay. And Dwada, I didn't see your hand. My apologies. What's going on? What's the good news? Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
I mean, there are all kinds of things that I could do as the student instructor with the faculty member. The course is amazing. It's right up my alley on educational reforms. Um, but he really is putting in like a whole bunch of responsibilities for those 20 hours. He's like milking like those 20 hours
Mm-hmm.
of work. So um sent him an email. Took me a while to just say, hey, okay, all right, just letting you know, I do have let's when we meet, let's have a conversation about um what how I see my role and all this stuff, like he asked me, but also wanted you know I have disability accommodations, and I can talk to you about them a little bit more. And I've looked over the list and stuff like that. So the list of responsibilities that he's got in mind. So, and he's a research scientist rather than like a regular like teaching faculty, academic faculty in our department. Um, but this is the only opportunity I've been extended to fund my last semester. This last semester. So I'm just really trying to manage like my expectations, to your point earlier, expectations of my dissertation, and of course more importantly my energy,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm trying to handle this situation diplomatically regarding his expectations, because he can't exactly tell me, no, you can't be my assigned grad student because you need accommodations, because you can't give me 22 hours rather than 20 hours, you know
Mm-hmm.
so and we're going to meet on Friday, but that's just like where I am. Things keep happening so fast and overwhelming me. So yeah, I guess I did have I mean, I don't necessarily have a question, but I did want to share that.
Yeah. I mean, it's a big deal, right? Because not everyone would, one, be able to recognize, like, okay, this is a lot coming at me fast. You really clearly you want to make the most of the 20 hours. Okay, granted, I got this. That's what I signed up for. But you know yourself enough to know, like, I'm gonna need some other things because this is too intense right now. So my question back to you, I know you were not asking me a question, but something I want you to think about is when you go to this meeting, what do you need? Like, how do you, this is not a conversation about if you can do the work. It is a conversation about how do you set yourself up to produce the best work during this 20 hours every week. So what do you need? How do you need assignments to be given to you? How do you need them to be broken down? Like, what information do you need in order to um, complete the assignment that he's getting or the things that he wants you to do? Um, Essentially, I'm asking you, how can you help him and help you? What do you know about this person? I know y'all are getting to know each other. It's new, and so congratulations, by the way. And I know y'all are getting to know each other, but pulling from past experiences, what has helped you to show up and do your best? Is it having, so like for me, for instance, I'm like, I need to know what your goal is. Like, I get that you want me to, let's say, create this report, but what's the goal of this report? Who's the audience of this report? Two, I need a clear deadline. And what I tell people is, don't tell me it's due by Friday, but you really mean Wednesday. No, if the deadline is Wednesday, tell me Wednesday, because I'm going to work up towards the deadline. And if you're telling me Friday and you really mean Wednesday, you're going to have a problem with me because I'm not going to give it to you until Friday. So tell me, and I really tell this to people who are especially type A, because I'm like, listen, that's not me. I know I can present like I'm a type A person, but once you get to know me, you're going to know that, nope, that's a facade. I'm not type A. So you need to tell me your real deadline. Then I asked them, like, do you want me to give you, incremental like progress reports as I work up toward the deadline? Or because my natural way of working is I go quiet, I put my head down, I work, and then on the deadline I pop out with the end product. But if they are someone who doesn't work that way, then let me know and I will do the incremental progress. So like that's just so those are just examples, Eduardo, to think about as you go into this meeting. Because sometimes, and I'm not saying this is him or this is going to be your experience, but I know for me, sometimes people would hear me at first before I would do all of that. They would hear it as, oh, you just don't want to do the work, or you just want me to give you special allowances. And it's like, number one, did you hear disability? Okay, but you didn't, because most people don't. But two, no, I am trying to make sure I meet your expectations, and I need clear information to be able to do that. So is that helpful?
Yeah, that's what I spent a lot of. I had a couple of things like dissertation related that I had on my agenda for yesterday, but I spent most of the time that I was able to work writing my response to his response to my initiated. I had to initiate because I was given the position and he didn't contact me for 4 or 5 days, and I'm like, dude, the class is starting soon. So I just initiated, said, hi, I want to introduce myself, blah, 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 blah. And then when he wrote back, he seemed really nice and really open. He was like, what do you want to get out of this? Because you're going to be on the job market, blah, blah, blah. And then I saw all of his, like, the course, like the documents he had and like just for, for the instructors, for him and instructors. And it was just a lot. And I was like, okay, all right. I can see what I need to come, like what I need to address. But it was a matter of, to what you were just saying, like it was a matter of making sure that I didn't sound like I was like, I don't want to do the work. Or because I had that experience of oftentimes being, perceived as not wanting to do the work because I have mostly invisible disabilities. So, and then I have a resume, I know I was like, damn, my CV looks like I could do all the things, but that's not necessarily been the me that's been able to show up the last few years. So, that makes a lot of sense what you're saying, because I went through this process of like trying to figure out how I can. It was a lot of work, like trying to make sure that I responded to him in a way that did not make me like look bad, but also that was considerate of his expectations as as the faculty member, and like and my excitement for this course on educational reform. I was like, I got all kinds of things to say, and I was like, no, I don't. I don't I don't have all kinds of things to say. I don't have bandwidth. So yeah, that makes sense. And what you were just saying, I think that really helps me think more granularly about interacting with him.
Yeah. Because here's the thing, y'all, like, and I don't mean no shade by this, but you have to realize like faculty are not trained to be administrators or teachers or advisors. And so most of them don't do it well because they're not formally trained in it. You get on the job training because the more advisees you have and the more you do this process, then you come up with your own systems. But there's no one at the beginning at like faculty orientation being like, okay, everyone, let's go over pedagogy. Let's go over like classroom management. Maybe, there's a one off speaker, but there's no formalized training in that. And so most of them are type B all over the place, right? Because think about it, if you are someone who's getting paid for your ideas, for the research that you produce, you are being paid to be someone who is abstract, who can bring multiple things together in an abstract way or a conceptual way, and produce or generate new thoughts around them. You are not being paid for how well you organize your schedule or how clearly you provide expectations to your grad assistant or your students. That may come later, and maybe you have natural gifts in that, but so when you can help them help you, it just makes it all the better. So I'm sending you all the peace and good luck with that. Danielle, is that a fire alarm? I hope you're safe, friend. um, okay. Well, Kristen, I'm just gonna ask you out loud. What are you working on? What you doing? Are you working on class stuff?
No, I'm working on your stuff.
I saw your message. This was it yesterday, this morning. I was like, and this is why you need someone who's type A to get you together. Because without Kristen, y'all, I'd be over here just floating. I'm not doing nothing. Just going, just over here in circles. Um,
I'm making updates to Asana at the moment, but I should be done with that in just a second. And then I need to make my plan for while I'm in Chicago.
yay. This is so relatable as a neurodivergent. My chair admitted they have low EQ. Listen, don't get me going on a rant. Okay. Do not get me going on a rant about low emotional intelligence because as my team will tell you especially, but as FYD folks will tell you, it's all about emotions. Everything we've been talking about so far today is about how you feel. Most of you, right? Today's topic was about time. Most of you think that you don't have enough time. And I'm here to tell you that no, it's your emotions. You have the time to write. Like, think about how long would it physically take you to write 2 pages? If I was being generous, I would say an hour to like do the physical act of writing words to fill up 2 pages. Hear me what I'm saying. The actual act of typing and filling up words on 2 pages. That, if I'm being kind, it takes an hour, but honestly, it probably takes like 10 minutes of the physical act. What takes the most time is you being like, but does that sound right? But is that what the literature has to say? But what is my chair going to say to this? How are they going to respond? Is that one committee member going to think that I didn't use this correctly? That's where your time is going, towards your emotions of being uncertain, insecure, doubtful, scared, guilty. Those are all emotions. It's the emotions that's eating up your time, not the actual act of writing. When you learn to trust yourself more, when you learn to follow a process, you will put the words on the page and be like, most of this is good, but some of this ain't going to be good, but they're going to tell me when I get the feedback. You will learn to see feedback as the tool that it is. You'll be like, yeah, whatever isn't quite connecting or isn't quite flowing right, somebody will tell me in the feedback. But you trust yourself to know that just because you're getting feedback on your writing, it doesn't mean that you're not qualified to be a doctor or you don't have what it takes. It means that you are engaging in the writing process. There are reasons why you have editors and you have different types of editors, because feedback is needed to make a draft of writing usable and simple for the reader. But if you're not aware of the emotions that are coming up, if you don't realize that the resistance that you're really coming up against has nothing to do with your time, but everything to do with how much you trust yourself, then you're going to be solving for the wrong thing. So when people tell me, I just need more time. And here's the thing. Now I'm in here. Like, the thing that gets me is people will say, I don't have enough time to write. And then they'll end up signing up for a 100-day writing challenge, which requires them to wake up at 5 a.m. and write every day for 4 hours. But if you didn't have the time to begin with, why would you sign up for that? Right? It don't make sense. But when I'm like 10 hours a week, people are like, no, help me, y'all. What am I missing? Okay. I don't know if this is real or not. All right. I'm hungry too. I go get some canes for me. I don't know if there's a canes around here, but I just haven't been going to nobody's fast food. Chicago plan is as much of this get done. New audacious goal. Is it audacious to have your dissertation done by the end of September? Is it audacious? Okay, for context, everyone, so everybody's on the same conversation with us. You got, okay, so you defended your proposal at the end of April, right? And then you got IRB approval May, June.
Mm-hmm.
And so she has been spending June, July, August collecting data. And she told me that she's going to have a full dissertation by the end of September. Why is that audacious? What's the problem?
This sounds crazy. to do that in what, like 40 days?
Yeah, 40 days, 2 chapters or three papers. 3 papers, 40
Yes, three
days.
papers.
Why is that crazy?
It sounds crazy because I haven't finished cleaning these transcripts.
Help me connect the dots for me. What does the cleaning of the transcripts and you writing these 3 papers help me go from this point to this point?
Because I mean, AI did a good job on the transcription for the most part, but there are some things that's not exactly what was said. So I need to go back and clean them up a little bit because I noticed that it was hard for me to multitask while people were talking. So I used most of the interviews to just like get the thing recorded. And I jotted down notes as things came to me, but like I really do need to go back through and listen because I really was just like, I got people on the phone. I'm gonna just let them talk. And then I need to at least go back through and listen to them or read through the transcripts or whatever the case may be, just to review them because I wasn't really like
Mhm.
multitasking during the time of their interviews of like listening to them and taking my notes. Like I
Mhm.
just jotted down things as it came to me. So I like need to put the two together so that I can start writing. Since because paper one is really on an individual basis and it's like each individual case. I think paper two will probably be the easiest because that's like the macro view of all of them together.
Okay, so let's
And
start
then
with
the third thing is the white paper. So that's not that difficult.
okay, so which one is easier, paper number 2 or paper number 3?
For me, paper two is probably easier because it's at the macro level. I think because I have to go case by case, I think that just makes my brain hurt
Okay, so let's
because
start
that's not what I wanted to do,
yeah.
but that's where we landed.
Okay, so let's start with paper 2. So paper 2, a rough estimate, how long do you think it would take you to write it?
If I put grad school Kristen back on the spot, probably a week. I can
A
write a
week?
paper in a week.
Write a paper in a week. Okay. So how long would it take you to write paper 3, the white paper?
Um, Probably. I'm gonna just say a week, only because I know I need to like I would need more time basically to take paper two and make it more community facing and not as scientific. So I would say a week, but the basis of it is paper two.
Okay, so then that leaves like what? A little bit under 30 days for paper 1.
Yeah.
Do you think that's enough time?
Yes, because I already made a template for what paper one was supposed to look like. Because paper one, I think, is just going to be where I have a hard time staying in scope.
Okay. Okay, so for let me pause for everyone. This is what I'm doing. So I'm someone who's like, okay, this is what I want to do. This is my goal. This is the result I want to produce. So for Kristen is I want to have my full draft of my dissertation, and here's the key word: draft of the dissertation by the end of September. So that gives roughly about 40 days or so. So then my next step is do the math. And when I'm saying do the math is what are the facts and the numbers that we need to consider in order to achieve this goal? The facts and the numbers here is that 3 papers have to get written. Rough math says it's going to take you a week for paper 2, a week for paper 3, and then that'll leave you 2.5 weeks or so for paper number 1. Then that led you to say, well, I've already outlined paper 1. I'm just concerned about staying in scope. So now we know that the challenge here, what we need to solve for, isn't the time, it's how do you get yourself to stay in scope? So why do you think you're going to go outside of the scope of this paper?
Because paper two is what I really wanted to write. Like it's just almost like paper one is a formality because it's a case study. So you have to do the whole within case analysis before you do cross case analysis.
Mhm.
I don't really care about the within case analysis. Like I don't really care about each individual case. And so I know my brain is going to try and work overtime of like connecting the dots because that's how my brain naturally works. But paper one is really supposed to be presenting, each individual case holistically about them, blah, 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 blah. I just don't want to because that's not what I want to write.
Yeah. Okay, so since this is the one that has the most resistance, then what if you just went to whatever your AI of choice and you just word vomited, and whatever came out was what you turn out. Like you turn in the word vomit paper one, because the goal here is a draft of your dissertation by the end of September, not the final dissertation. And I really want y'all to catch this. What does your brain say though when I say that?
I think that's fine. I think that was kind of like my course of action anyway, was like, how can I use all of my tools to at least get through paper one? Because that is where I'm going to have the most difficulty, which is why I was like, oh, let me at least clean up the transcripts, mostly removing the personally identifying information, because I think that will help that go so much quicker, because I already have the template, because I already have the steps of what needs to happen from like a coding perspective. I think that's where my brain was like going. I just need to make sure, and that was like on my notes, to make sure that I'm just like prompting it correctly.
Okay, here's another thing. Something I want to discuss is, what if you start with paper one and you make it the shittiest draft ever, and then you turn it into Paige, which is her chair, by the way. You give Paige something to do. You say, hey, girl, listen, this is the paper I was most concerned about. Here's my first go at it. I'm not asking you to do any mechanical editing of it, like grammar and whatnot. I'm asking you to look at my ideas and help me to make sense of this paper.
I'm not opposed. I think my frustration, which we've talked about, is that she don't do nothing quick.
But that's why we're going to give it to her. That's why we're going to start with it and give it to her. So by the time she's like, oh, here's my written feedback in ink that you don't understand, you could be like, here you go, girl. Here's the other two. The second one, which you're really excited about. And the third one is like, whatever. But you could really spend your good time and energy on the one you're really excited about.
Okay. I'm not opposed to that. Because I was like, I definitely got to submit this graduation application by September 1. So
yeah, like we need to give our committee members things to do. Like here's the thing, everyone, treat your committee as the colleagues that they are. So because they're colleagues, it's no big deal to be like, hey girl, hey, here's your assignment. Like I got us going, but I need your help. Because your dissertation, everyone, is a collaborative project. It is not meant for you to go off in the corner by yourself and do it and then come back with no input from anyone else. The reason why you have committee and the reason why I call them colleagues is because their purpose is to help you produce the best product that you can at your level of understanding of the research process. They're there to act as guides, as advisors. Now, I know not all committee members are created equal. I get it. The goal, though, the like sort of spirit, if you will, of a committee is to help you do things like thinking through your ideas, is to help you to flush out your findings and thinking about the best ways to present the information. So it's not an issue. What I'm telling Kristen is not, I'm not telling her to take a cheat way out. I'm telling her to utilize the people who are there to help you. And most of you, you're going to have this relationship more so with your chair than the rest of your committee. Right? Your chair is there to help you to prepare the document for the rest of the committee so they can give you feedback. So when she goes to her chair and says, hey, girl, hey, this is my first draft of it, it's not supposed to look good. It's supposed to be shitty because I'm still getting my ideas out. And she says, can you help me flesh out my ideas? Number one, it gives her chair a strong starting place because she can see all of Kristen's ideas. And two, because she's asking a direct question or a direct request for the type of feedback she's looking for, her chair doesn't have to get lost in where are the citations or where are the headings or this doesn't look good. Her chair understands, oh, this is about finding the main ideas. And when her chair gives her the feedback of like, here's how I understand the main ideas, then that will help Kristen to like, okay, now I can further constrain and focus on the most important parts for this paper. If you are someone who's like, that sounds great, but that's not the relationship I have with my chair or the rest of my committee, you can use AI for this. You can upload your document. You can say, hey, chat. And I'll be like, hey, boo. Hey, Okay, I don't like ChatGPT 5 though. We had to have a talk because I was like, you are not nice. And I need you to have some more warmth, but that's besides the point. I would go to chat and I would say, I'm uploading my first paper for my dissertation, and I am trying to identify the most important ideas that will help with my focus. Here are my research questions. Can you first identify what you see me saying in terms of the main ideas and what suggestions you have for me to either flesh out those ideas or to focus on something that I may be missing? You would be shocked at what chat would bring back to you. For those of you who you may have the same concern that your chair, your committee doesn't turn around feedback as quickly, AI is very smart. It's a language model. Its whole purpose of why it exists is to look at a bunch of words, organize them, and get it down to like the nuts and bolts of a thing. You don't have to use AI to write. I use it mainly as a thought partner because it's really smart. It's an intelligence model that scans and scrapes the entire internet. So it's nothing you're going to tell it that it doesn't have access to. When you give it your writing, or if you're someone who's having a hard time getting started writing, you could say, I'm supposed to be writing a dissertation about leadership development and consulting in corporate spaces, but I don't know how to narrow my idea down enough for it to make it dissertation worthy. What ideas do you have? AI will happily give you 10 or more, depending on what you request, ideas to help you narrow down your topic. This is how we use it as a research assistant, and we don't have to be as afraid of it. Okay, Kristen. So those are options because you know me. Because you know what I'm about to say? What do you need to do in order to have paper one done and submitted to Page by September 1?
Okay, we're not that far off because I had just put in the chat that the paper goal is August 31st. So we
Yes.
on the same
Listen,
page.
I'm rubbing off on you. I love it.
I don't think I need anything extra because I think I just need to set my schedule, like planning my schedule now that I have all of my like courses up and developed with my syllabus and stuff. So I
Mhm.
think it's more so just picking the calls that I'm gonna go to so I can get stuff done. And we do have the retreat at the end of August, which I can get a good chunk of stuff done. And then me and the man already talked about like a staycation sometime in September so that I could have like another kind of writing retreat weekend to knock everything out. I just need to pick a weekend. He said it's fine. I just need to pick the date. So I think it's more so of me like picking my schedule of time to like get work done. But we're not too far off. I was on the same page. I was like, I'm thinking paper one, the 31st. I think I do have some assignments due for the first week in September. So I'm thinking paper two, September 13th, and then paper three, September 20th.
Yeah.
Because
Why,
sometime in there, I would have had my other like little staycation retreat as well.
why will
And
this
I would have got my hair done. I'm getting braids in September. That's also a part of this equation.
Beyonce just came out with Sacred for Braids, so plugging for her. Um, why will this be easy for you? Give me 5 reasons why this is going to be easy for you to get done.
I think the first one is I think after I was able to kind of listen and review the transcript during the last retreat, the one that was 29 pages long. I think I did, like, once I actually had some time to, like, sit and listen to it, I had some notes, so I do think, like, pieces of the paper are already there. I just, to your point, kind of need AI to put it in the template and wordsmith it, so I think it's one, like, parts of this is already written, I just need to sit down and look at all of my sticky notes and, like, give them to the AI to put them together. So that's one. 2, I think I've also already written this when you had me do my blog series last year about why this shit doesn't work. Everything that I said in those blogs is the exact same thing everybody else is saying. So like it's already written also. So I think that's the other part. 3, I think I'm like ready to be finished is the other thing. Like I think there was a part of me prior to that was being like lackadaisical and not like really wanting to, but like these last couple of weeks, everything has just gotten on my nerves. And I was like, you know what?
Mhm.
I'm done. I'm just finished. And it's like it's not like a I want to quit finish. It's just that like I'm tired of wasting my energy on this particular thing. So let me just do what I need to do so I can get to the next whatever the next thing is. I don't know what's next, but I think there's enough fire under my ass now to be like, okay, girl, this is coming to a close and we really do need to wrap this up so you can get on to what you need to do. So I think that's the other reason. I think the other part is like me and the man have also already talked about like support that I need. And it wasn't like oh, you're crazy. It was more like like, let me know how I can help. So I think that's helpful. So like even planning out a week, taking care of Bella, all of that good stuff, I think is the other reason why this will be easy. And I think the fifth part is like my committee is not an expert in this field. So what can you really tell me about something you don't actually know about?
Period. Yes. Let's fast forward to January of 2026. Like that January 1st. Happy New Year. We did it. We got through the holidays. Yay, we made it. And you wake up and school is not in session because you're still on break. How do you think it's going to feel when you wake up and you be like, this is a year that I don't have to worry about classes in terms of your own classes, or I don't have to worry about dissertation. I just get to show up and go do my job.
I think it's gonna be an adjustment because I have been a busybody. We just gonna say for the last decade because I took no breaks between undergrad, my master's degree, and this. So I think it will be very strange to not have to worry about like coursework or like logging into the portal to register for classes and pay tuition. Um, but I do think there's also part of my like being that's just like, girl, we are ready to like ease up a little bit, take your foot off the gas.
Mm,
We're gonna still accelerate, but we don't have to go as fast. We can, just go the speed limit.
yeah. What will you feel the most appreciative of for your this version of you? So your August 2025 self. Now we're still in January. When you look back at this moment, what is going to be the things that like stand out and be like, you know what? I appreciate you.
I think doing as much like setup as I could to like get me across the finish line in advance. So like all of my syllabi, I've tried to like be flexible around when I'm planning for like defense or planning for like feedback so that I don't have a whole bunch of stuff work wise. And so I've really tried to be cognizant of that as I mapped out my semester, and even like assignments that I chose to do, some of them I've scaled back a little bit. So I do think trying to have as much foresight now for like what could be coming a few months from now, I think I'm going to be super grateful that I did that because I've also tried to do like different new systems to kind of help me move through things more easily and not so painfully. So I do think future Kristen be like, girl, you really did that. Like, you really did systematize that last semester. Look at you.
So we have a clear goal. You have a clear timeline of how long things will take. You've made, you've had conversations with your partner around support. You've set yourself up in your classes that you're teaching to give you as much time and energy as possible. And you sound very solid in that in January gets here, everything is done. With all of this, how have your thoughts, if at all, shifted around how you're feeling about completing this?
Um, I think the only thing is like I don't have a clear picture on like what the next step is. And I think part of me is like, maybe I'm not supposed to. Like maybe I'm not supposed to
Oh, like what happens
yet.
after you're
Yeah,
done?
like I
Okay.
have thoughts and feelings about what it is, but it wasn't like when I finished my master's degree, like I knew I wanted to go teach. Like I just knew that I wanted to go into academia and be a professor. With this one, I don't think I have that as clear. And I think part of me is like, maybe I'm not supposed to. Like maybe it'll come in January when my plate is a little less full and I have more space to have clarity. And so I think that's the only part that's kind of like different from completion of other stuff is like I'm not super hell bent on like this has to be the deliverable of this. I was like, no, the deliverable is the degree. The
Mhm.
deliverable is the degree. And what we decide to do after that part, I have time to figure it out. It's not like I'm in a rush or like something is at risk. If I don't have like a clear answer today, like I am thankfully employed. I probably have more jobs than I should. So it's not like it's urgent that I have to figure out something at this moment. And so I think that's the only thing that's like very different comparing like when I finish other stuff, I've been very clear on what the next step is. And in this one, it's just like maybe the next step is to have a seat.
So this question is for everyone. If you are still hearing the sound of my voice, this is a question for you. Before I ask the question, here's what I want to say. In the 9 to 10 years of doing this, I will tell you the number one reason that I have witnessed why people don't finish or finish when they want to is because they don't know what's coming next. Right. So earlier I was asking people on Instagram, like I was typing in the thing of like, you say you want to make 6 figures. What does that mean? Why? You say you want to do this so you can show your gifts, but why? Because your nervous system is asking that question about, but why are we doing this and what comes next? So my question is, if anything was possible, you had unlimited resources, what would you say? What comes next? What comes after graduation? Anything is possible. We don't have to be realistic. You can make anything happen. And if you say something like sleep, okay, tell me more. Where are you sleeping? What you sleeping on? What the sheets feel like? Okay, go deep with me.
I do think that rest is part of it, of like being able to like actually rest, right? Like I think I can rest now, but it's like I still have all of these big things to do. And come January, really my only responsibility is to go to work. Like
Mhm.
there's no other things to do. So I do think not having that pressure of something else, I think rest is a part of it. But aside from that, if I could do anything, I would not have to commute in Houston traffic because that has recently made my nerves bad. So something remote-ish, um, and something that allows me to, I guess, like show up in all of my brilliance and not have to like compartmentalize or hide. Like I can just be the highly intelligent, all of Kristen person. I mean, I'm not necessarily like boxed in and in a space where I really do have like the authority to act on and implement my good ideas and not necessarily be so hung up in some bureaucracy type of thing in a space that I'm like also very well resourced. Like I really have all of the tools that I need to execute
Mhm.
on things well. What that is, I don't know, but those are the characteristics of it.
Okay, so remote, authority, resources, creativity is how I hear that too. Have you ever had a time that you felt like that or close to that in your life?
Um, I would probably say the closest I've come to that is during my time working at the health department in operations doing project management.
Okay.
That's probably the closest I've come to it.
And what about that experience helped you to feel that way?
I think I just had a leadership team that really valued strategy and like you had to think. Like we anybody can do, like, well, not anybody, but anybody can execute. I think they really appreciated having people on the team that could think through their big ideas, their big picture, um, and someone that saw the vision similarly to them. And it's just like Yeah, Kristen is really good at this. Like, she's really good at seeing the big picture, thinking through all the details, even thinking through stuff that I didn't consider. She got it. And it really wasn't a lot of like micromanaging or hand holding. And we just, got to do some really, and I think it was also like we got to do really cool projects that really did, positively impact the world and have a positive impact on people's lives and well being.
What are the things that you are doing currently that allows you to take someone's big idea and operationalize a strategy without micromanaging and it has a positive impact on people in the world?
I think some of my consulting projects fit that bill, not all of them. I
Mhm.
would say like 2 out of the 5.
Okay. I'm trying to I have multiple questions that came up in my brain, so I choose one. Of those 2 out of 5 projects, it seems like you're doing that now in conjunction with your job. So what if that is your happily ever after? Now, I'm not saying it has to be, but what if? What came to mind? Like, what if you've already solved the problem of what comes next because you're doing it now?
I think my challenge around that, because I've done the whole entrepreneurship thing, is
Mhm,
like stability of money. But then it's
mhm,
always like, but what is stability?
mhm.
So we always have this like tug of war
Yeah.
internally around like stability. There's 2
How?
things in life I'm afraid of: being broke and being a chicken head.
Okay. How would you know if something like these things are stable? Like, so y'all, we're going back to do your math. How will you know something is stable versus unstable when it comes to entrepreneurship, RAM, and consulting?
I think to me, stability always resonates to like a consistent paycheck.
Hmm. But is it right? Because it's entrepreneurship, right? And so for anyone else who's doing consulting, I want you to think about this too. At what point? So is it that you get a consistent paycheck for 2 months, 2 years, 20 years? Like, how long would you need to receive a consistent paycheck for you to be like, okay, this is stable?
Yeah, I think it would have to be for a duration because I would see it more so like if I was like a W-2 employee, like it was consistent like any other job that is in business.
Yeah. But how long? How many months? How many years? We're just gonna throw out a number, whatever your brain
For
says.
my lifetime,
No, because for you to know that it's stable, right? Because if we're waiting forever, you would never know if it's stable or not.
I guess if I could have the equivalent of my current salary that came in at least once a month for like 6 months.
Okay, I'm gonna make up a number. Let's say you're making 50,000 a year. Are you saying if you could make 50K a month for 6 months, then it would be stable? Is that what you're saying? I want to make sure I
No,
understand you.
50K broken down
Oh,
into
okay.
6 months, and that would be what I would make for 6 months.
I'm gonna just do 60 because that's easier math.
Okay.
So if you got 5,000 a month for 6 months, which is 30,000, you would be like, "Yep, this is stable."
I think I would be closer. I
Okay.
think it's still gonna give me a hard time, but we would be closer.
Okay, y'all, why am I doing this? Because many of you are saying abstract things. I'm gonna come back to you, Chris, in a minute. Many of you are saying abstract things when you talk about what comes after the doctoral process. You'll say things like, "Oh, I'm gonna get this position where I get to be an expert, or I'm gonna make 6 figures." What your brain is like, I don't. That's not real. Because think about this: when you graduated high school, before you graduated high school, you were like, "I'm going to undergrad at these 3 schools," right? You might have had your top schools, like, but you knew, "I am going to somebody's undergraduate program." Then, when you got into undergrad, right? And I'm gonna use Kristen as an example. Before she was done, before she was at commencement, her brain knew, "Oh, we're going to masters. We're doing a master's," of course. It's very clear. I'm doing a master's. Most likely it's going to be in Houston. It's going to be at one of these institutions. That was very clear. Then get to master's. It's like, okay, doctoral program still in Houston in this area. That is very clear. But when now we're in the doctoral process, it's like, I just want to do something that uses my gifts. What? Your brain is like, that's not real. You know what I'm not going to do? Listen to that. You need another reason. And the reason why this ends up being the thing that stops people from finishing their doctoral program is because your brain is like, why would I give up something I already know the process of, I already know what to expect. I've been in this like some of you have been in your doc program 7, 8, 9 years. Your brain is like, why would I give this up? We're in a routine. I may not like these people. I may not feel completely comfortable writing this dissertation, but I know what to expect. That whole like saying, better the devil you know than the one you don't. That's what your brain is thinking. So when you say something abstract, like, oh, we got to hurry up and finish because we're going to rest or we're going to go get some career that we haven't really defined, your brain says, yeah, I don't know what that is. So I'm going to stick with the thing I do know. The more certain you are, the more details you have about what comes next, the more your brain will be like, yeah, let's get done with this dissertation. We're going to that job and where you get to work from home and you get paid $5,000 a month and it's consistent and stable and you don't ever have to put on real clothes. Yeah, let's do that. Okay. So if one of your, this is so strange because this is very meta for me. One of your consulting projects came to you and they were like, here's $30,000 on January 1st. They're like, 30,000. What do you think your brain would do? Wait, let me back up. Do you think that's on a scale of 1 to 10, before I go to that question, on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being not at all, 10 being like, absolutely. How realistic is that, you think?
And my brain is like, that's a 5.
Okay. That's a 5. What would need to happen to make it a 10?
I think my brain is still having like a hard time computing that we're even doing this in the first place.
Like get your consulting?
Yes.
Mm.
Because don't get me wrong, like that was always a part of the plan in like 21-year-old Kristen's like back of brain, but now it's like forefront of brain and we're actually doing it. So I think my brain is just like, girl, what? We just made $400 in a summer. That is a jump.
Yeah. By talking to people and yelling at them about their schedule. Yeah. And it's for everyone who's still here. Like, this is a good conversation. If you're still here, listen, lock in. You are training to be a doctor, right? And we throw around words like, I'm an expert, I'm the go-to person. But do you know what that means exactly? That means that this is just an example. It's very realistic for somebody to send you a check for $5,000 just for you to give them an hour of your thoughts. I want you to think about this. When you say I'm the expert, I'm the best in my field, I know so much about this one area, that means that you could solve a higher level. Can y'all hear me okay? Because I'm getting a thing that says my connection is not consistent. But that means you think at a higher level, you can solve more sophisticated problems because you understand the research around a thing. And a lot of you have practical experience in the thing. So for the person or the organization experiencing the problem, they're like $5,000 for your thoughts, because an hour of your thoughts is worth years of them researching and figuring it out and trial and error on their end. If I could just pay you the $5,000 for you to just tell me the answer, I'm going to do that. What derails a lot of people is because higher ed teaches us, and just corporate in general teaches us, that we trade hours for dollars. We don't realize that it's our thoughts that's way more valuable than the hour of the physical labor we can do. So someone coming to you and being like, here's 30,000 because of what you do, I think it's very realistic.
I think I am, and I think that's fair. I think my brain is also just having a hard time with like what does not being so tactical even like look like? Because like teaching is very tactical, typical operations work is also very tactical. And I was like, I think there will always be like a tactical component because people don't execute, which is what I be yelling at people about in the first place. So I think my brain is like, how do you how do you do things that aren't so tactical where it's like more like 90% strategy and like 10% tactical? And I think my brain is just like, what the fuck is that even?
I'm going to pull it from something you told me. Right? You just had a conversation with one of your consulting organizations, and you said I talked to them for an hour and I didn't have to do anything. That's what it's like. That's what would get paid for, because it's valuable to just talk to you, because you have a wealth of knowledge and experience. This is everyone. I'm not just talking to Kristen. This is everyone who's listening to me. You have a wealth of knowledge and experience that just talking to you, yeah, let me pay you to talk to you, because you got so many answers that I'm looking for that I desperately need. To your point, right? Most of us are all trained to do the thing, right? Like what y'all tell me. If you just tell me what to do with the dissertation, I'll do it. But I just need to know what to do. And so then I tell you what to do. You're paying me for me to tell you what to do and to break it down in a way that you can understand, which helps you to go faster because you trust your ability to do, but you don't always know if the strategy is correct or if you're like going in the right direction.
And I was very proud of myself in that call because I very easily could have gone down a very tactical wormhole. And I was just like, I'm just not going to do that.
Yeah, you're doing it. Like that's what they would pay you 5,000 a month to do. Is your thinking? One of my favorite scenes. Okay, one of my okay. What was it? What was it called? The Facebook movie. I can't think of the name of the actual movie. The Social Network. I think is what it's called. But Justin Timberlake's character, right? He's supposed to be the founder of Napster, I think. And they're sitting at the bar, right? Because at this time, Facebook was called The Facebook. It was thefacebook.com. And now I feel so old because 20 years ago, but it was called thefacebook.com. And they're meeting for happy hour. And Justin Timberlake's character, and this is a real story, comes their meeting and he's like, yeah. And before he leaves, he's like, drop the and just facebook.com. And Mark Zuckerberg was like, what? And that's what he does. And it takes off. And that earned, I think he has like 6%. He owns 6% of Facebook. Do you know how much 6% of Facebook is worth? Billions. All because he said, drop the. And he was just there as an advisor, as someone who had a startup, sold it crashed, but he still was successful. But it was his experience and his knowledge of the startup world and the tech world, and him giving to him that one gem, 6% of Facebook. Why wouldn't somebody else do the same for you? You have years, everyone. You have years of education, years of work experience. Why wouldn't somebody do the same for you? So just think. So that's what I want you to think about, Kristen. What does your brain need to realize that you're already doing this work and that it is safe for you to get paid for just how you think, for just talking to people? It's okay. Because that's what it
I'm
means.
either going to have to let go or solve for the fact that people don't listen.
They don't. Well, why don't we just accept it? People don't listen, they don't execute. Those are your assumptions that you operate from. We don't fight with what people do. We just accept people. And we solve because you have a beautiful brain that can solve for that. In the same way you do with your students inside your classes. Danielle, you got thoughts? I don't know if you're with someone, so maybe you can't talk because I know you're walking in the hallway.
I mean, I was just reflecting while all this is going on because, yes, there was a fire alarm and I had to eat. And then, my admin was like, "So you're going to get me your list of school supplies you need?" And so I had to go take care of that. So a lot going on. But this just reminded me of the exercise that you had us do at the retreat in 2024.
Mhm.
And I was also having a similar conversation with Melissa yesterday about what it's like to be doctor. And I told her that one of the moments that really helped me feel like doctor was when we did that exercise in that July. And then I started doing and following the steps that I needed to take. Like you had told me in that session, what to be able to have that ideal Thursday, right? What do you need to do in your life? Just like you were asking Kristen, what do you need to
Mhm.
do to make that happen? So I sat down, thought about the things that I needed to do to make that happen, and then I started doing it. And then as I started doing it, when I felt like doctor was when I had the receipts that I could actually do what I told myself that I was going to do. And this whole exercise that you just did with Kristen reminded me of
Mhm.
that process. That's like, okay, you have the receipts that you can make these things happen. So, what is it that you need to do now to make the next thing happen that you want to have done? Right? But it also reminds me about how amazing this community is because we all have people here that are going after big goals and will believe in your crazy for you so that you actually get those things done.
Mhm. Mhm. And now you're sitting in the thing that you were dreaming about during that conversation. Yeah.
Like right here. This is it. The visual representation of what we mapped out. And over there I have more stuff of what we mapped out.
Yeah.
I said I was going to run a half marathon. I ran a half marathon. And I'm running in another one. And it's a regular schmegular Wednesday. And I just taught 3 classes. I had my lunch. And I'm here with you all in community. And I have stuff on my to do list that I need to do. But,
Yeah.
because I did my weekly plan, I'm not stressed because, I was planning on eating at 3 p.m. I ate at noon instead. We're moving it around, but we getting it done because that's the plan.
Get
That's
a
the
little,
process.
get a little snack at 3 o'clock. It works. Um, and I want you to think about like you could look around, like you created that with your brain. Like you created your entire life with your brain.
Yes.
Right. It was something we were just talking about that was on paper and now you're living it. Like you created that. And if you created that, what else could you create?
Right.
Like everyone, you created the environment you're living in, the reality you're living in, you created it.
Mm-hmm.
I know some of you, I used to want to fight the air when somebody be like, yeah, even the problems, he created it. And we're not using this to shame ourselves. My point is there was a version of you who never thought you would be in a doctoral program, who like, it would be nice. I think I would like it. It used to be something you would just tell people and you would halfway believe it. And now you look up, you're in the middle of the program and you're about to be done. You created that. You can create what comes next too, but it requires courage for you to think about and dream about what that could be.
100%.
Yeah.
I mean, shoot. I was talking to a student earlier today about the 5 times I had to take the GMAT in order to get into a doctoral program today.
Yeah.
And if I would have listened to my auntie, well meaning, but after I took it the 4th time and she said, maybe if you should rethink about going to grad school in the first place if you're not going to keep getting the score you need to get in. Like, if I would have accepted that messaging, I wouldn't be sitting here today.
Yeah.
But I've been talking about having this life that I'm living right now for 9 years now. Ever since Dr. Harrison tapped me on the shoulder and said, "D, have you ever thought about going to get your PhD?" Now he calls me Dr. McCardle.
Everybody calls you doctor. You teaching what? How many classes?
4.
4 classes of students who
Yeah.
are like, "What are you gonna say next? We are ready."
Literally,
Mhm.
literally, it happened today. I was talking about what kind of books I'm planning on thinking about assigning for the gender and sport class next semester that they're going to let me teach. And they were like, "Oh, I'm writing that down because I'm taking that class." And I was like, what is this reality? Like, had a meta moment there. But it's true. Like, they're ready.
Ready.
But like I was telling Melissa last night, are there moments of weakness where I don't have it? Yeah. 2 weekends ago, I was all in my feels about I'm in Georgia. The Confederate Constitution's just a couple streets away from where I'm at right now. I'm teaching social issues in sport. Like, we're talking about stuff that,
Mhm.
what happens if I get canceled, right? But then a friend of mine was like, they hired you to teach that and teach the curriculum, and you'll be fine.
That's it.
Speak the facts.
Yeah.
It happened. You just tell them what happened.
When you are the expert, you are up there. You're at the top by yourself. That's the point. Right? Like, that is the whole point.
That is the whole point. And I have a faculty social with the president of the university later on this afternoon. Like, hello, what is this?
Listen, the Gemini will be. You're gonna know my name before this is over. I love it. There's some Gemini energy happening. I'm trying not to get too deep. I'm trying to be better about not going into too many details about the what is the word I'm looking for? Like the technical pieces of astrology, and just try to take the takeaways. But right now, the energy that's happening in Gemini is the same energy that led to World War II. And so it's just a lot of tension, disruption in the air. But there's also, because if you go back to that time period, especially around higher education, there's also a lot of innovation that's happening. And so use your natural Gemini-ness to, of course, you know how to work the room, but just think about, like, are there some ideas or some things that may stick out from his, I think it's still a his, right? His speech or whatnot, and something you want to just drop on his lap, like, because he hears the same thing over and over all day long. But how do you make yourself memorable? Like, you have natural charm, but what little razzle dazzle can you add to, like, stay memorable? This is why I like being a Sagittarius. We give advice for the person, because I would never. Okay, I would be in somebody's corner, like, can I leave? Can I leave?
Yeah, you're over here like, go, do it. I got faith in you. I got you. I'll be right back. I'll be right here when you're done.
Yep, and I have something to drink for you, because I'm not going to talk to anyone.
This is why we need each other.
Yes, because I'm like, people, oh no. Which is funny that this is the whole business. But y'all, the internet is different to me than a room full of people physically.
Yeah, especially when it's a curated, environment.
Yeah. Okay. Chris, I don't know if you're in a place to speak. Excuse me. I want to check in and then we'll call it. How are you, Chris?
Doing all right. Doing pretty good. I guess my day, I'm up 4s today.
Okay.
I finished coding the 7th transcript. 5 more to go, and I can say I will have finished all of the ones that I'm doing for this dissertation. So that's what I'm doing.
Wait, no, we're not gonna go past that. Like, that's not a big deal. I'm gonna mute you for a minute, Danielle. Okay, they'll go run back. Like, how does that feel? Say it again.
I've coded 7 in total. I finished the 7th one today, And I do have the other 5 downloaded. I have not coded them, and some of them might need some cleaning because I'm presenting at that conference in September the 5th.
Mm-hmm.
So I was trying to, because I'm talking about archives, I was trying to focus on like the podcaster interviews to talk about how that contributes to the discussion. And I had done 2 podcasters already. So I just have one more to do, and then I can finish the last set of slides. I've created the first 8. So that's what I've been working on. How's it feel? I was thinking today that, and a friend of mine was laughing at me because I was like, when I think about like life, work, dissertation, it feels like you're in a constant stream of the eye of the tiger. I know that's probably a terrible song, but that's the way I feel like. I'm motivated myself. You're dealing with support. You're supporting. Some people support you, some people don't, but it's you out here moving through it all, doing what you can, do what you got. And some days if you ain't got it, you ain't got it. So it's all good.
Okay, Leo. Let's go back to last Leo season because that season almost took me out, but I don't know how it was for you. But let's go back to August 2024.
Oh my God.
Dak Chris. What is Dak Chris?
I was like
doing?
August 2024. Oh, where was that? That was this fall where I was writing a proposal. It wasn't even a full proposal yet then. It was just, the drafts got better, but I went back and looked at it the other night when I was sitting up and looked at the early drafts. Progress. Yeah.
Progress. But I want you to go back there, that version of you who was like, is this proposal going to happen? What do they have to say about, okay, now it's August and you're about to submit a full draft of this dissertation?
Disbelief, I guess. Not necessarily disbelief. Well, maybe, yeah, because it's like sometimes I keep looking at the date going, oh, I'm writing, but it's not that I don't believe what I have on the paper. It's just like, wow. And that doesn't even feel like that articulates it.
Yeah.
But I also know that you from the lived experience of turning nothing into something, that it does happen. It's just keep going. That's what I often find myself saying. Don't worry about that. We just do a little bit at the time. We're going to work these, work our moments and do our work and just keep pushing at it. Cause I know sometimes that's the challenge for me, is that I can't see it. And, that can get overwhelming, or like, am I doing too much? Did I overpromise? And, but I still think I still have to keep going. So,
and I'm just because I can hear somebody of like, and I just want you to remind the older version of you. Because I remember having conversations with you about, well, my committee thinks I'm moving too fast and they just wanted me to take it, a month at a time or whatnot. And part of you, like a lot of you believing that. But now on this side of things, you're like, I don't care what they believe. I know what I'm doing. What did that version of you last year need to hear to get to where you are right now? Like if you can go back in time and tell them anything, what would you tell them?
Don't get distracted, or don't focus too hard on what they say, because regardless, it's going to be you that'll be doing all of this work. So just keep going towards your goal. Don't let that go. And that's been something that I find myself still saying, because they still say, oh, you need to sit with it. Oh, you need to, read more, or, follow up with, the different committee members, which I have done that one, and I had one good meeting, and the other one we talked, and then I sent another email, which of course pretty much went in the black hole. Because I ain't heard from neither one of them. But it's okay. It's okay. They're still gonna get this draft. So it's gonna be okay. And so I guess the message I needed to tell myself is what I keep saying to myself, no matter what they say, you are the person that drives it. Even though sometimes I think that's the challenge, is it does not feel like that because you're working with other people.
Mhm.
And I don't even say work with, because I really don't feel like I work with them. I feel like they gave me feedback, but it was me that did the work. So
Clock it, because
Yeah.
that's gonna really help when it comes to the defense to be like, they didn't do this. They can't even ask me no real questions that's gonna like stump me.
right. I mean, and too, it's also diffusing what they said by listening to some of and reading the resources that you have in the vault, because, one of the things that my chair was saying was, they didn't really have the same amount of time that they had the last time. So they say words like, we wanted to be really polished. And I'm like, okay, are y'all even gonna read it? But then I also know that they didn't read, because I have the receipts of my chair at a conference talking about C. Riley Thornton. And I'm like, she wasn't reading, because there's a whole section where that's all I talk about. So I know they don't read. And there's also the distractor, which is Dr. Travis. And then you don't get to the other two, because those two control it until you send it out. So, but we have talked about sending out the CTDA part, the one I'm analyzing the podcast episodes, to Dr. Brock, because he's about the only person that'll know what I'm talking about. They don't know what I'm talking about when I do that. So they've agreed to that. So that's next, video analysis.
Keep going.
Okay.
I know the momentum is building, but I'm sure you're also getting tired because you're not just focused on this. Like even right now where you are in real time, it could be easy for you to just say, you know what, I could take a little break. I don't have to keep going. But you have a goal that you've set for yourself.
Yeah.
And every day isn't glamorous, but think about how you feel from this time last year to now, and think about how you're going to feel come August 2026 when you are fully celebrating Leo season and you have no courses or dissertation to worry about.
Okay. All right. I'm looking forward to it. I'm trying to plan my vacation. Where are we going? Out the country. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Shut this phone down.
I'm right there with you.
May the Lord, work with you.
Yes, because I'm not. I'm out.
What's that crazy? They've been playing it again on Hulu. Is it Kingdom Come with Whoopi Goldberg? And I love when Cedric was like, "Call on Jesus, don't call me." That's how I feel. Try that.
Danielle, you got something for Chris? Okay.
Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. I just want you to take a mental picture of how you felt when you said, "I'm the one that's doing this work." Like, I need you to remember that, because it is the absolute 100% truth that you are the one that read this paper. You are the one that has put in this work, and they are not going to read every word that you write. And because you know your stuff, channel that, remember that, and use that, especially in the defense, but even as you go through other parts of the process, because the more that you can lean into "you're right, I did this," that is receipts for yourself to know that you're not an imposter, you're not making stuff up, you are Doctor. And when they ask you stuff because they haven't read it, they're going to suggest all sorts of stuff from left field, and you're going to be like, "No, I understand that process, but I thought about it and I went in this direction because whatever that answer is."
Okay.
That's like 90% of what your defense is.
Okay.
Is, well, what about this? That's great idea, future research, but I made this decision because X, Y, 1, 2, 3. You know what I mean? Like, you got this. And I listened to your committee when they were listening to your proposal, and I was like, they didn't read this.
You know they didn't read. I knew they didn't read. It was like it's me. Me versus me. Because they don't know.
Exactly. And when you take that approach of it's me versus me and I know my stuff, then you're teaching them. And that's all
Okay.
it is you're teaching folks.
Cool.
Because you are the expert at what you did. And the more that you can internalize that, the more confident you will be moving throughout this whole entire process. Because it's when you're in those moments where they're asking you questions where we get in our heads and want to feel like we didn't do the stuff, but you did do the stuff, right? So that's like what Katie was like, well, in my defense, well, why didn't you use lifetime analysis of fandom theory? Because I did, girl. I focused on this particular time.
Right.
Like, but that's what it is. It's like, no, I didn't do that. And I didn't do that because that's another research study.
Right. Yeah.
And I did it this way. So I need you to come back here and do it like I told you. We're here in this little box. But I have full faith and confidence you could defend your dissertation today. Today. Because the way you know your stuff, you ready.
Yeah. Yeah, I think if you say how much of me agrees with you, I'm probably at 50%. I think the only other part is I haven't done the video analysis, but I know I'll get there once I do it. And also the process in the sense of it I think I also have been trying to remind myself that this is a process because it takes a long time to listen to the interviews, to code, and to really read. And then I've also been like writing memos about what I hear or what I remember or what I think. And I'm getting on my own nerves, as I told one of my friends today. I was like, I feel like today I could give you a lecture on any topic. And that's annoying.
But listen, when you are there, you are doctor.
Right.
Hear me out. When you are there and you hate your dissertation and you just want to be done, you are doctor.
Okay.
Because you are, like, literally, that is the moment when you're like, I hate this.
Yeah, because fun fact, I ended up checking my email late, and it was a podcaster because they've been the hardest to really nail down. And I had figured he wasn't gonna respond. Also because he was saying, well, I know that I'm white in your study. I said, yeah, I know, but Black trans men, they like the majority of them have said you're a podcast, and I said I do have interviewing podcasters, or community workers, organizers. So that's understandable. But if you are willing to participate, cool. But he didn't say nothing, and that was July 16th. And then I just happened to be in the inbox Sunday because I was looking for a receipt to send back to the business office. And I was like, oh, he wants to interview today. And so I was like, I don't have nothing to do. I'm just sitting in the house anyway. And then I was like, oh, okay, cool. But it was different to go back and interview him because it's like, well, I know what the questions are. So now I can ask him more questions. He was a bit uncomfortable, but he'll be all right. So it was friendly because we were talking about, it became uncomfortable when I started asking him about like, well, when he brought up race. And since he brought up race, I used it to ask all my little questions. Otherwise, I wasn't going to ask. So he'll be okay. He turned red. That's how the only thing I was like, why are you uncomfortable? You brought it up. So anyway, I was just saying explain more. It's not like I said anything hard.
Yeah, but that white fragility thing's real.
Yeah. And that's what he was talking about, white fragility. And I was like, can you tell me more when you say that? What does that mean for you? And that's when he turned like beet red. I was like, oops, my bad. Sorry.
That was the most.
You said it.
That was the most Virgo statement ever. It's not that hard. Like, I could do it. You could do it. What's the issue?
Yeah, not you calling them on the carpet, Chris. Like,
hey, I just be wanting to know what they mean. It's like, and that's what I told him later. I said, I'm not trying to attack you. I said, I just really want to know. I said, not just about this question. I'm always interested when we're saying things. What is it that you mean when you say it? So that way I know where we are. That's all. I said, I'm not judging you. Fine. That's what you think. Stand on it. cool.
Stand on it. Yeah.
And then it was like you had that out of body experience because you're like, did you really tell this man stand on it? I said, we did. We did. We
And did. Okay. Well,
I
yeah,
mean, you always come from that place of curiosity. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure it's just the reality. It's a tough conversation. That's
Yeah.
it, you know?
Mhm.
And we're all, like I said in my class, I want you to view class like a quarantine, right? Like we're all in this space together, working against what the world has to tell us about the folks that are in this room.
Right.
But some folks are going to be closer to issues and some folks are going to be further away from issues. But if we can't
Right.
have that conversation here where we disagree in an agreeable way, then how else can we do it out there?
Right.
So,
okay, y'all. Oh, Martha, I wanted to check in, but maybe you can send me a message. I'm gonna call it. I gotta go contact my family and see what's going on there. We do not have this call next week, but next week we have the workshop from coursework to proposal. You don't have to come. You'll get the information. I'll upload the recording, but if you do want to come, I'll put the information in Circle so y'all can have that. If you're not in finish your dissertation, you can go to qualscholars.com/90-day proposal and you can sign up there. I'm trying to think. And then we'll have the 10 pages in 2 days writing retreat next week. So we won't have any of our planning calls or writing calls. I'll see y'all at the retreat. And that is going to wrap up August. It just went by so fast. And I'm excited because then the school year would officially be kicked off. If anything comes up, let us know in Circle. Did I miss any announcements, Kristen, Danielle?
one more call tonight, 7 to 9, right with us.
Yes. Thank you.
And I think it's Chris, right, that's doing that.
I'm not sure, but I think his internet kicked him off. Okay, y'all. Well, I will talk to y'all next week then. Thank y'all for a great call. Bye, y'all.